are now thinking about.
Thank you. There's a lot of conversation about increasing domestic manufacturing in critical products like semiconductors. Our Bipartisan Chips for America Act supports domestic semiconductor manufacturing, and it was funded in the bipartisan competition bill. We want Congress to pass our law ASAP to build more resilient supply chains here at home. But repealing outdated tariffs like aluminum is another way to lower prices and shore up supply chains. Dr. Stevenson, if we ended the aluminum tariffs today, how soon would we see a change in prices?
Well, markets react quite quickly to news, and I think markets would react quite quickly to the news of eliminating tariffs today. While that may take a little bit longer to get to the end to consumers, I think you would. I do think you would pretty quickly see that show up in prices.
Thank you. Another approach is to redesign our supply chains to bring them closer to home to reduce the potential for major disruptions. Mr. Chair, my time has expired, so I'll submit my additional questions for the record.
Thank you, Senator Sanders. Senator Reid from Rhode Island is recognized.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and thank the witnesses. One of the issues that is causing great inflationary pressure in Rhode Island and across the country is rent and the cost of housing. And to Dr. Spriggs, what steps can we take to ease import costs and increase the housing supply so that it's affordable?
Thank you. So part of what's going on in the housing market right now is they are having supply problems also, so they're not able to produce as many homes as they would like. So part of it is us getting through those. But part of it is, again, recognizing it is a market, and we need to have public investment so that the investment matches people. Housing as a private matter matches dollars, and dollars are not equally distributed. And as long as you're going to have a market dominated by 10% who consume as much as the bottom 40%, you're going to have a lot of people outbid on housing. And so we must recognize that public investment in housing is a necessary tool to make sure we get the proper level of investment. We have long had a low-income tax credit. We should think of ways that we can use that. We have a lot of us who believe in a global minimum tax, and we need to find ways that that low-income tax credit can still be effective even in the face of a global minimum tax. And we need to make sure that we raise the wages of workers. Fortunately, 21 states have been raising the minimum wage this year. In January, the majority of American workers got a raise at the bottom. That's a large part of what's fueling not only the called the Great Quit, because when the minimum wage goes up, turnover goes up as well. There's a ripple effect that goes on that makes people switch jobs more, and workers get a higher wage. But we need that $15 an hour legislation to be in place, and we need the PRO Act. We need to have workers with the right to organize so that we can get wages back up to go along with the productivity increases that are coming from the automation and the improvements in productivity that are being put in place.
Thank you. Dr. Stevenson, would expanding training and apprenticeship programs for building trades increase labor supply and also contribute to ease housing prices and rental prices?
Absolutely. I mean, one of my biggest concerns is that we see an ease in the supply chain constraints around the materials, and then you can't find the workers. We need the workers and the materials to be together, and there's lots of reasons to think that we're going to find ourselves without enough skilled tradespeople to be able to produce that housing stock. And obviously a really great way to do that is through apprenticeship programs and vocational training.
Thank you. And Dr. Spriggs, there's been some discussion of targeted federal financial assistance for grocery and gasoline costs, which for low-income families are some of the biggest expenditures. Perhaps something like a debit card that is exclusive for those items. And would that effort, coupled with pay force by increasing the tax on very, very wealthy Americans, make sense?
In this situation, absolutely. We don't want to exacerbate aggregate demand, and offsetting it would be a great way to make that happen. It would be a great way to target it to those at the bottom. Going forward, we know that we're going to have disturbances with food prices because of global warming. It would be nice to have a trigger so that SNAP benefits could adjust automatically when we get these kind of disturbances. At some point in the next 15 years, we're going to get a major flooding of our Mississippi Valley, and we're going to have huge disruptions to corn, hogs, beef, as well as the transportation of those goods. And we should be ready beforehand to make sure we can give people relief from those price shocks.
We also have an ongoing disruption in Ukraine with wheat and fertilizer, which will be reflected, and I think first in the developing world, because we can outbid them for the supplies, but we won't be immune from that either. Well, thank you all very, very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Senator Reid. Thank you, all five of you, for joining us today to talk about how to build more resiliency into our supply chains and into the economy. Senators wishing to submit questions for the hearing record, those questions are due 1 week from today, Tuesday, March 29th. To each of the five of you, please submit responses to those questions for the record within 45 days from the time you receive them. With that, the hearing's adjourned. Thank you so much for joining us.